Hello, peeps. How you doing? I've seen some extraordinary things in my time, but this takes the biscuit. You have to watch it. This is some wibbling bloke from Navarra Media, you know, the lefty bunch. Navarra Media, whom I've always wanted to ask the question of, if when they shout, communism is better than capitalism, I want to ask the question, when the Berlin Wall fell, which way did the people run? But you have to see this. He's as mad as a box of frogs. This shows you how insanely deluded these people are. I'll see you later. Bye.
Before I finish my politics chat, I do want to ask you about this issue. It's caught my eye. There's a row that's been breaking out about the MP, Rachel McLean. She's also the deputy chair in the Tory party for women. She's come under fire now, basically, for saying a Green Party candidate who refers to themselves as a trans woman. She retweeted this tweet, basically, which described this person as essentially a man who wears a wig and calls himself a proud lesbian. I have to say that Rachel did go on apparently to delete that tweet and issue an apology. Well, the potential or aspirational MP in question went onto the BBC to respond to that tweet. Let's have a look and a listen.
Without a shadow of a doubt, it is a transphobic comment. It's dog whistling at the finest, you know. It's gaslighting. It's everything. By attacking a minority group, it's just, yeah, you know, it's just...
I don't mean to be rude or disrespectful, but what I find gaslighting is me being expected to call that person a woman. Ben Habib, where are you?
Well, I'm completely behind Rachel McLean, and I wouldn't have deleted the tweet. I mean, he's clearly a man. He's clearly wearing a wig. And, I mean, he's not a lesbian. I suppose there's an error there. He's not a lesbian. He's heterosexual. He's a man dressed up as a woman, and he still fancies women.
See, I'm just showing on the screen what a woman is and the difference between a woman and a trans woman. Both deserve respect and freedom to live their lives, but it's not transphobic to say they're not the same thing. Nor does it assist policymakers across healthcare, education and the CGS to pretend that they are. Michael, where are you on this?
Well, I mean, I think the reason she's apologised is because what she said was quite rude. I mean, I think...
She didn't say that. She retweeted what someone else said.
I think it is rude. I mean, I think as a society, we're yet to have really sort of come to any kind of consensus on this. Now, I have trans friends who have lived in their, chosen gender for a very long time, and I think to call them, if they're a trans woman, to call them a man would be very offensive. Now,
but they are men. You do appreciate that.
I don't actually agree with that. I do think there is a fundamental difference between a man and a trans woman. I don't think a trans woman is just a man who thinks they're a woman. I think there is something very fundamental there. I think the point at which we decide someone is treated as a woman or when they're a trans woman is something that we still haven't quite found a consensus on. I think when it comes to sports, when it comes to prisons, it's totally reasonable for people to have a debate about that. I think most people agree that we'll use the pronoun someone wants.
I don't think it is reasonable to have a debate.
Anyone else.
I don't think it's a debatable issue. I think if you're a man, you're a man. If you're biologically a man, you're a man. You may have gender dysmorphia. You may be suffering a psychological problem, a psychiatric issue with the way you identify yourself. But that doesn't make you a woman.
So I think
it's not debatable.
There's differences within... No, there is differences within the scientific community here because people have sort of... You can scan brains and say that actually trans women... You can sort of tell that they're not the same as a cis man, for example. So there is a physiological thing going on. But also, I think the way you're sort of talking about it, they're not women, it's just a mental health problem, which essentially seems to be what you're saying. Yeah, but that's... I mean, people said similar things about gay people in the past, right? So I do think that our understanding of this is... at this point, still quite primitive, still quite basic, and we need to keep an open mind about this, which I don't think you're really showing in this case. You're not a doctor.
It's not a matter of keeping an open mind.
I actually think that affirming people's sort of choices and desires when it comes to gender is the best case for them. And then sort of, if someone has taken that transition to then just call them the other sex, I think is...
No. Look, I think his name was Michael, he's now Melissa. If Michael wants
No, it was, in April 2022, this person ran as Matty...
Matty, sorry, not Michael.
This was in April 22.
Yeah, so Matty now wants to be called Melissa. That's fine by me, I'll call him Melissa. But for me to have to recognise him as a woman is intellectually and biologically daft. It's challenging the English language to the point where it becomes meaningless on how you communicate. There's no such thing as a man who has all his biological parts as a man becoming a woman. It just doesn't happen.
Well, this person apparently reckons that they began to transition last year. But you see, because I know you're sympathetic to this, we've had conversations off air, deep, quite long conversations off air about this, but I always ponder this, because to me, not you, but when we get into that, when I look at that and that person's telling me I'm a woman, essentially I'm the same as you, Michelle, I think it's delusion and I think it's untrue. And then I ask myself, well, where is the line here? Where is the level? If that person, or well, not that person, I don't want to make it specific, if a grown adult man in his head feels like he's a child, would we go along with that and allow that person to attend a school?
Well, I think what that comparison misses is that there is something which the medical establishment has recognised, which is gender dysphoria, which lots of people experience. It's not just sort of one in a few thousand.
Is that a mental health condition?
That's what I volunteered up. That's what I volunteered up.
It's an experience.
But hold on, just help me understand it. I'm seeking to understand. Is that a mental health condition, what you're describing?
Well, there's disagreement about that. So I think it's an experience that people have. It's a diagnosis that people give someone, but I think mental health condition comes with some prior assumptions that either it's negative or it's abnormal.
Well,
so, for example,
prejudicial?
homosexuality used to be considered a mental health condition. So I can see why trans people don't want gender dysphoria to be a mental health condition, because it seems that you are in some way, not normal. And obviously, it's a minority group. But I think it's an experience which is just as valid as everyone else.
Look,
and the medical establishment recognises that.
But Michael, I've got great sympathy with people who are not comfortable in their bodies. I get it. They're not comfortable. I get it. But that doesn't make them a woman. Just because they want to be a woman doesn't make them a woman.
But they are a trans woman.
Oh, I hate this word, cis woman. I don't know what cis means. I completely reject this notion.
It just means not trans. It's the same way that straight means not gay.
Why should I be referred to now as a cis woman to accommodate this group of men that have suddenly decided that they are a woman?
Well, see, I think that's a very loaded way of putting that. I don't think trans women are just men who've decided to be women. I think trans women tend to be, men who've experienced gender dysphoria, can't really be happy other than by transitioning, and then so sort of framing it as a choice, I think, is somewhat problematic. When it comes to cis and trans, when it was the case that gay people were allowed to get married, the idea, it's not a straight marriage, it's just a marriage. Well, just a way of saying it's not a gay marriage, right? It's just when we have new categories, you're going to have to make a few more.
No, I don't want, all of a sudden, I am a woman, I'm a biological woman, and I just reject this notion that now I've got
what
to
are
have
you losing by that being?
A grip on reality.
Yeah,
there is a basic grip on reality when someone now has to put this new label on
someone
a biological female.
Someone could have said exactly the same thing about weddings, to say sort of the idea that you've got a straight wedding. No, weddings are between a man and a woman. So saying there's gay weddings and straight weddings, I'm not accepting
nobody gets harmed, do they? No one gets hurt by who marries who.
But who gets harmed by being called a cis man or a cis woman? When you have
men declaring themselves as women and then arguing for access to, for example, safe single-sex spaces, then to me it becomes a concern.
Or women-only prisons, or wanting to go into women's
So I'm
loops.
agreeing with you that there is a policy debate to have when it comes to sports and prisons. But what I'm saying is that when it comes to language, I don't see why we can't just be a bit more relaxed about this than you both seem to
I'm not relaxed.
Very different opinions. All of them are equally valid. And I want to throw it open to you at home. What is your view on it all? I want to talk